love for show, injustice, hatred for Chris Mallon. Our show is as good as a belly rub. Mark is the best of the belly rub. Mark is the best of the NFC West. Putting down Penguin Pete with his love for the rest. I'm a whiskey or a beer, we're glad you're here. Welcome to the family, but playing for gibberish and rambling. We have recent news and games of the week. We talk PPR and weekly streams. Start them and sit them, keep them or quit them. Hit the like and sub buttons for the fellas. Got any suggestions? Just tell us. Tell us. Just tell us.
All right, and welcome back to Toilets to Titles. My name is Justin Stevens, and we are here for another episode of Toilets to Titles. We thank you very much for tuning in. Just like his song says, we know that there's a million different podcasts out there, and we are now rolling at episode 243. So got my man Mark here with us, and we are hoping to have Nate on soon, but you'll never guess what the theme of that song was, like what the genre was that I typed in, because it sounds a lot like something else that it wasn't. What's your guess this week, Mark?
I don't know. I was gonna say it sounded like what I guessed before the show, like heavy metal, like
Yeah,
kinda,
like a grunge type of
monster
headbanging.
music.
Yeah, that's closer. I typed in nightmare just because I wanted to get some kind of a Frankenstein thing going here. We got all kinds of guys already in the chat. We got Jerry Bagshaw was first up this week, so good on you, Jerry. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, what a week it was indeed. Duarte, appreciate you chiming in as well. And then they had a little back and forth, and Wicked, what's up, Dylan? Week one treated me pretty well, I must admit. How about you, Mark?
Yeah, there was a little downside to the end of the week with the Rams game, and then David beat me by a point with CMC going out last minute when I didn't have a backup to put in. But other than that, I had a pretty good overall week.
Yeah, that bit a lot of people. But the only league I had CMC in, I was down by 40 going into it, so I wasn't going to win anyway. But I doubt that even CMC could have hit 40 with a bad ankle on that team. But Rich, what's happening, buddy? Appreciate you tuning in. And then you beat Richie here, he says. So
did.
All right. So week two. So this is the first full week of a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but our full on actual show. You guys can find us at JustinFF_, at Nate_Dirt19, at MT Simon, and of course at Toilets Titles over on X. So if you would, because this is the one part of the show, Doc, that I did not have time to get to because of all the other stuff. If you would, Mark, go ahead and Google up, and I'll start talking about the Patreon and get into the start of the game of the week. But if you could Google up all of the most recent injury updates, just the main stuff, the big stuff, and we'll discuss the main injuries. Of course, Sleeper definitely wanted us to know that Njoku, Ferguson, and who was that other fella? The third one? I didn't have very many shares of the third one, so I didn't get. But Sleeper app. Yeah. Somebody was sitting on the butt dial for the Sleeper app notifications and just kept pushing it. So another reason I'm not a big fan of them. But those totals just continue to rise. Let's see. Patreon.com/toilets-to-titles. And guys, actually, I have down here the list of all the different levels of the Patreon. We have pretty much anything for any budget from the $2.99 level, where it gets you into our Patreon only Discord chat that's driven completely by you, the Patreon subscribers. Early access to the waiver wire episode, which happens Monday night after the Monday Night Football game. This week's going to be a little bit late because we had a little bit of a rusty start to the week, but I did at least get the PDF out to you guys on the Patreon, so we appreciate you. Hopefully you're able to check out that link and look at our PDF there. At $10 per month, you get the free entry into the Frankenstein Listener League, the monster of a league, the one-on-one roster analysis, and a 30-minute breakdown of your league's draft at the $14.99 level. and then a bunch of additional giveaway entries and free entries into our multitude of T2T leagues at that $24.99 level. So we thank you very much for all of your support on that. Mark, are you ready for any of the injuries, or should I spill into the game of the week?
Yeah, I mean, I can go through some of them. Like we talked about, Ferguson left the game. His x-rays came back negative. He was undergoing an MRI on yesterday, I guess. I don't know how that turned out yet. Puka was put on the IR. He's out for at least 4 weeks. That hurts.
Yeah.
Along with everybody on our offensive line got hurt in that game. So that's fun. Njoku got hurt, like we said. Addison injured his ankle in the game against the Giants. He was undergoing more tests. They don't believe it was a major injury, though. Walker left the game for the Seahawks towards the end of the game, but they said he was good after the game was over.
Aaron Rodgers, his pride got stomped on against the 49ers last night. What about the Dolphins running backs? What's the status on those guys? Because I know those are big for fantasy purposes. Last I heard, Mostert was having a chest issue, and Achane was also already banged up. So a lot of people out there wondering about Jalen Wright, if they should go out and pick him up. And while you're looking at that, Rich here says, note to all, this is, don't freak out. This is only week 1. Yeah, good advice. Good advice. Don't freak out. Don't go abandon ship. Don't. Now, obviously, week 1 can begin a trend. So after weeks 2, week 3, we start to notice some trendful things. Maybe you want to jump on before everybody else jumps on certain things, but don't freak out on your stars and your studs, especially. I'm not sure what that is, Jerry. Let me try to zoom in on my. Oh, I see. Yeah, the nervous guy, the nervous icon. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, basically, what I'm reading is it's a little too early to tell. They didn't practice today, so neither one of them. It's an ankle for Achane and chest injury, like you said, for Mostert. They don't seem to think it's serious, but we'll have to watch and see if they ramp up practice here throughout the week.
Yeah, and the scary thing is they play on Thursday night, though. So it's only 2 days away that they're going to be playing. So if they didn't practice today, maybe that Jalen Wright ad, which Wyatt from Wyatt Buckner, Wyatt Loves Music. I call him Wyatt Buckner, right? The Buckner family in the Frankenstank. But he's the one that's been trying to talk me into. So, all right, he asked me for a lot of advice, and I'm just not big on Jalen Wright just because of the depth there. And he keeps trying to pick him up. And I keep telling him, I'm not big on him, but go for it. Follow your gut, follow your heart. And now with these injuries, he's like, you sure? So he's kind of got me thinking maybe it's time to go pick up Jalen Wright. So, but yeah, we'll just have to see how practice works out tomorrow. But unfortunately, your waivers are probably running before practice. So, if you need that depth, or if you have one or both of those other guys, then do what you got to do. So, all right. Next week, I promise we'll have the injury update and the other big news updated on there. But, and then of course we all know about the Tyreek Hill news, and, but he still played, and charges were dropped, and cops will be cops. It is what it is. So, game of the week. Last week, I chose the Ravens and the Chiefs, and they did not disappoint. A lot of times we're a little bit disappointed by the Thursday night football game, or even the opening kickoff night, usually less so than the rest of Thursday night football. But that was a difference of 7 points. So right now I'm sitting at 7 points in second place. To Mark, you had your Rams against the Lions. Overtime game was definitely the closest game you could possibly get in regulation, that's for sure. I know that they are your Rams. I figure you probably, well, I don't know. I was going to say I figure you want to talk about it, but maybe you don't. But well, what did you think of that game, man?
My poor neighbors. I hope I didn't keep them up too late screaming at my TV all night. But no, I mean, ravaged with injuries. Puka going out, but I mean, to me, the biggest thing is the offensive line. They were already banged up in going into it, and then we lost Noteboom and Oliva in that game as well. So I mean, that offensive line is going to be in trouble going forward. I, with all that being said, I feel like we should have won that game. When we were up, we had the ball with 2 minutes. We needed to get a first down. We couldn't get the first down, and to me, that's what cost us the game. I mean, yeah, you need to get a stop in overtime. They ran it right down our throats, and I think that's going to be a plus for Detroit all season long. The way they're utilizing Gibbs and Montgomery, if they continue doing that going forward, like Montgomery barely touched the ball in the second half. I felt like it was all Gibbs, and then come overtime, Montgomery was 100% fresh and just ran over everybody. So
and then that defense was wore down.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Nate, who isn't with us right now, but we're hoping he can hop on here in a little bit. He had the Cowboys and the Browns, and the Browns did what the Browns do, and that was a difference of 16 points. So the current season total right now, Mark, you're winning with 6. I've got 7, and Nate has 16. This week's game of the week, I'm choosing your Rams this time. I feel like without Puka, they're going to have they're going to have the opportunity to prepare for it. And there are a lot of wide receivers that are very serviceable in that wide receiving room. So I don't think it's going to hurt them or affect them a whole lot for this game, but it is a divisional matchup and it is on the road against the Cardinals. So even though I think the Rams are the better team and I feel like they should win, this 4:00 matchup is definitely one I'll be watching during that time slot because the whole divisional, and also Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't want to panic, but at the same time, it's a rookie wide receiver. It kind of shocked me all offseason that Marvin Harrison Jr. was being drafted in the top 10 in redrafts on a pretty consistent basis. And I get what he is, and I get what he's supposed to be. He's still a rookie. Like, there's a reason why the best college teams can't beat the worst NFL teams. Like, and it's apples to oranges, I know, since we're talking individual players, but I mean, he's still going to take time. He's still going to potentially be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL at some point. But guys, he's a rookie. You need to temper your expectations. But anyway, I've got the Rams at the Cardinals. Nate has the Bears at the Texans, probably because of the points thing. He's at 16 points. He feels like this game might be maybe close, but it also might be because you and I both chose our game of the week first, and there wasn't much left to choose from. But that's the Sunday night football game. Mark, what do you got?
So I went with the Bills at the Dolphins Thursday night game. It's a divisional game. I feel like they typically play each other pretty close, and you know how Thursday night games go. Probably going to be a little lower scoring than we expect it to be. So I think it should be a close one, maybe a field goal or a touchdown difference.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying, Dylan, but still, like, yeah, if you're going to draft a top 10 guy, you want to draft a top 10 guy that you know is going to be consistent, that you know is going to be a top 10 guy. And there's just so many question marks with rookies. But you're also a dynasty guy, so you pay attention to college a lot closer than I do. I mean, I guess I can defer to your expertise on that, but it's just, for me personally, there's no way, and I have 0 shares of them, so like it is what it is. I'm definitely practicing what I'm preaching here, but no, that you got to choose the game of the week first this time, I believe.
I think I did get it in there first.
Yeah. I think that's the Bills and the Dolphins probably would be the best game there, and divisional matchup. So I'm definitely looking forward to that one as well. Upset of the week, I went with the Titans to upset the Jets. So I just can't get over the Mayo Man personally. I still I can't give them up. Although this week it was pretty tough to watch. and this week in general, overall, all the upsets are pretty tough to choose from. It seemed to me like the line on these games were such that finding a team that I thought was an underdog to try to win was pretty difficult in general. So the Titans defense could be just strong enough to hold back Aaron Rodgers based off of what we saw last night against the 49ers. I get that they're not as good as the 49ers, but they struggled so much to get the offense going the majority of the drives that I feel like the Titans can somewhat harness some of that same energy on defense and kind of control that offense enough. And then the Titans can correct their passing game, hopefully a little bit this week, and then maybe steal the win as the home dogs there. What do you got for your? Oh yeah, that's 3.5 points. The Titans are getting 3.5 points as the home underdog. So, what was your game? Your upset of the week?
So, like you, I agree. There weren't a lot of upsets to choose from. So, I mean, this could be a big swing and miss, but I think New Orleans over Dallas. I think New Orleans has a chance. I think the Saints D line should have an advantage over a younger Dallas offensive line. So I think if they can get consistent pressure to Dak, they could make that game pretty interesting. And I believe that was a 6.5 point spread.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Big one. Going out on a limb on that one. Nate, homer pick here, decided to go with the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are getting 3.5 points, and that's against my Colts. So it was almost a game of the week for me because I feel like, to be honest with you, I think the Colts are going to dog walk them this week, and I really wish Nate was here to hear that in person. That run defense just for the Packers looked horrible this week, and then now they're playing with a backup quarterback as well, and the Colts defensive ends are super fast. They're going to get to Willis and I mean, I don't know, between the fast defense, the rookie quarterback, the bad run defense with JT and AR, as long as the Colts don't try to get fancy or cute with it, just run the damn ball. Hopefully they actually do it. We don't have the dude that only passed the ball all the time, Frank Reich, anymore. So hopefully they'll run the ball like they did a little more last year and take control of this game. But Nate says that he only picked this because I can't see any other dog besides the Giants keeping the game close. Packers are 3.5 versus the plus 3.5 versus the Colts. The Colts allowed Mixon to run free, and the only chance the Packers have of not losing by 35 is to run Jacobs and Manny Wilson 50 times. Jordan Love and Malik Willis was an 8-point swing, and I'm hopeful that the Packers can keep it close. All right. Good luck with that, buddy. All right. Let's see. Saints going to get ran over. That's coming from a Cowboys fan, but
now, as a Cowboys fan, he knows that these are the exact games that Dallas usually chokes away. So.
Oh, man. Ouch. He pulled out the choke word. Oh. Yeah, no, I mean, the Saints did look really good this past week. I will give you that, but I don't know, man. That Cowboys team still, they look pretty damn good too, especially at defense. They look like they're back. Start 'em or sit 'em. So this is a new segment here. In the past, Coach always did his start 'em or sit 'em, where he did entire rosters, and that was a lot of work for him and a lot of reading on his part. And while I appreciate him doing all that work, we're taking up a little bit different stance for this one. We're each going to pick one player to start and one player to sit. But it's a start 'em or sit 'em. So the one player that we're going to, one player at each position, a quarterback, a running back, a wide receiver, and a tight end to start and to sit. And if we're going to start them, they have to be a QB 13 overall on the season or worse. RB or wide receiver 25 or worse, and a tight end 13 or worse. And then in order to sit them, they have to be currently a QB 12 or a tight end 12 or better, or an RB 30 or wide receiver 30 or better. So in other words, they got to be a decent player on the season, overall points for the season. They've got to be a decent player, but we think they're going to do poorly, or they've got to be just outside of those top tier players that we think are going to have a shot if we start them at being a top higher tier player. So hopefully I explained that properly enough, but I'll jump right into it. And yes, I'm mostly cheating on all of my stardoms. And the reason is because as the season goes, well, actually, let me just jump into it. So my quarterback start of the week is Pat Mahomes. And I even said, that's right.
He's
I'm
got to be
practically
just
cheating.
outside that top tier of player.
Yes, he is currently listed as the QB 13 overall on the season, but it's Pat Mahomes, so you must start him. But I kind of use these cheating opportunities to kind of give you a better idea of what it's going to be like. Because obviously, Pat Mahomes isn't going to be 13 or worse all season. So it's going to be players that are just outside that top end, but that we think are going to be top end for that week. So I'm benching Baker Mayfield. So he's currently the QB1 on the season. So anybody that's in that top 12 of QBs, if I think that they're going to finish, QB2 or worse, like lower down, that's my bench him. So I'm benching Baker Mayfield this week. Because he's not playing the Commanders this week. He's actually facing a decent defense with the Lions, they did give up the 14th most points to a quarterback in week 1 to Matthew Stafford, but I think Stafford has the better offense than Baker does, and I'm not saying that Baker will necessarily do bad, but I do think that he at least comes back down to earth this week, and he's going to finish outside that top 12. My starting running back, Jonathan Taylor. That's right, cheating again. JT is currently RB30 overall after having a mediocre game against the Texans, but the Packers playing with the backup. I already explained all that. I just think that the Colts are going to be able to run the ball like crazy, just at will. I think AR will have huge fantasy numbers as long as he makes it through the entire game. And then I'm benching Alexander Madison for this week because he's currently the RB18 on the season. Now, pay attention to what I say later about Alexander Madison, along with what I'm saying now, because I actually really like him. But for this week, I do like him better than Zamir White on the season. But for this week, I think he eventually takes or not for this week. I do think he eventually takes White's spot, or at least really cuts Wade into his opportunities on the rushing end. And the Raiders still seem to like White for whatever crazy reason, but that's going to change. And Alexander Madison is more of the receiving down back, which is really good for fantasy football purposes. But RB18 overall against the Chargers is good and all, but that was on only 9 touches. But Andy scored the touchdown. So against the Ravens this week, I don't see him getting that touchdown necessarily. And 9 touches isn't going to be able to cut it against the Ravens to be able to continue to stay in that top RB1, RB2 range. So I'm benching him for this week. I feel like Mark might be changing oh, no, that's Nate. He better not be changing my – all right. I'm hoping he's not trying to Ron Burgundy me here on my notes. But, hey, guess what I'm doing for my starting wide receiver, Mark? I'm cheating.
Cheating again.
Oh, there's Nate. What's up, buddy?
Sorry.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. You made it just in time because I didn't want to have to read all your stuff.
I'm glad.
Hey, Rich. Oh, wait a minute. We got some comments in here. Yep. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the Panthers are really crap. And on my waiver wire PDF last night, I think I called them the Crapalina Panthers. It was pretty bad. But Nate, did you record that episode, by the way?
Tonight.
Okay. All right. I did get the PDF out last night at least, so we're good. So once you get it recorded, let me know, and I'll drop it into the Patreon.
When we're done here,
J.K. Dobbins smash play this week. Yeah, I mean he's going to be a smash play until he's smashed into the blue tent. That's for sure. DK Metcalf to have a big day. Yeah. I mean he's got to bounce back. He's got to do better than he did last week or this past week. He's turning it around. Top 5. Finishes a top 5. No. We'll turn it and finish top 5. No, there's no way, Rich. So that's a board bet. So Rich, top 5 Metcalf. And then all of us say no?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Never
Not
done
even
that?
close.
I will jump on Rich's next board bet on his side though.
Kyler
If he-
Murray to have a good game.
Yep.
He's got to do better. Let's see. Yeah, board bet will finish ahead of White will not finish ahead of Madison. So I got Madison.
I'm taking White.
White is Rich and Mark. Which, by the way, we have 4 board bets locked in, and I've already won 3 of them. So you guys need to be careful. Yeah, top 5 for the year. No, there's no way. All right, so let me move on to. I'm now cheating on my wide receivers because I'm going to start Amon-Ra St. Brown. He is currently the wide receiver 70 overall after an almost non-existent performance against your Rams, Mark. And I mean, it's Amon-Ra. So now that the teams know that they have to respect or put some respect on Jameson Williams, the Sun God will have a solid bounce back game this week. Not even sweating it. I'm benching Rashid Shaheed. The Saints wide receiver is currently wide receiver 15 on the season. The problem here is that he did it on only 3 catches and long plays with the touchdown. But I'm really certain that he's not going to get that again in week 2 against the Cowboys defense. So with the low target share, he would have to still get those huge plays to be able to be in the top 24 at wide receiving. And I just don't see it happening. So I'm benching Rashid Shaheed. Tight ends, I'm going to start. I'm going to start.
This is ridiculous.
Kelsey.
This is ridiculous.
But at least the viewers get the idea of the game, and the numbers will even out to where it's a little bit more difficult later. But I'm starting Travis Kelce because he's currently the tight end 15 overall, and it's Travis Kelce. He will bounce back in week 2. Also, I'm still cheating. I know, LOL. And then I'm benching Chigokankwa. At least my benches are legit here. So Chigokankwa, currently the tight end 6 on the season. He had 2 catches for 15 yards and a touchdown last week. He has finished as a top 12 tight end on a 1-week basis only 6 times in the first 2 seasons of his career. And the touchdowns have been very few and far between. It's not very likely he's going to get one again this week against the Jets. All right, Nate, are you ready to say some words?
I think so.
All right, go for it, man.
I'm going to start Kyler Murray. I thought he looked pretty decent against the Bills. I mean, threw for 162 yards. Didn't run the ball that much, but they were up and looking good, and then their defense just fell apart. But like I said, I thought he looked decent. I think that continues. I think Marvin Harrison will get better, and I think Michael Wilson is a guy that can do some damage this week. I think the Rams struggle in deep ball coverage, and 15th on the season.
That's his ranking right now.
I didn't know. Yeah. So he's like I said, college 15th. I think he'll be better. Like I said, I think the Rams they're worn out after that game. It seemed like a tough game for them and the Lions both. Like I said, I thought they both played really, really well. But like I said, I look for Kyler to step up and show that the NFC West is not just a 2-team race. Benching Joe Burrow. Something doesn't look right.
You're breaking his rules. Joe Burrow's like quarterback 50 with his 8 points this week.
Yeah. Sorry. But I guess I missed that part, but I'm doing it anyways. I don't care. Especially as high as I was on the Bengals last week. I should say sorry to everybody because they're bad. But I said something looks wrong. I don't know. His wrist is messed up or whatever. They're a laughing stock last week. I don't think anything changes. And I don't think it's going to be a great shootout like we're used to seeing between the Chiefs and the Bengals. So, he's 30th on the season. And I don't know if he even gets much higher than that because Jamar Chase, they're not going to pay him this year. So I think that's going to be a nightmare the entire season. I didn't follow any of the rules in.
No. But that's okay.
I like rushing to pay him after the first week.
Well, he said he wants to get paid more than Justin. He wants
Jefferson. A penny more than Justin Jefferson. But I feel like he went out there and just kind of gave him an FU. Like, I'll play, but I'm not going to really do anything.
He had 6 catches on 6 targets. So, I mean,
Yeah.
whatever. That seems like a mess. And after the game, he's just saying, ask Zach. So rough. But anyways, starting Joe Mixon. I know the Bears defense is stout, but Mixon, I think he's feeling it after week 1. He already have 150 some yards. Like I said, I fire him up, see how he does run into the Bears defense. I think this is more of a test for the Bears than they had last week. So we'll see how they fare. Mentioned Jerome Ford. Only reason I said that because he was a kind of a popular late round draft pick. I don't think I have any shares of him, maybe one, but I know a lot of people were all over him, and he was miserable last week. Granted, I don't think anybody was not miserable for the Browns. So I don't think they have any chance against the Jags. It's hotter than heck down there. They looked like they were just like out of shape, and not ready to be there. And the heat in Jacksonville is going to hurt. So Ford's 28th on the season, and like I said, I think that was kind of a pipe dream that it would be like a Nick Chubb B, I guess you would call it. And that, no chance. Wide receivers, starting Loud McConkey, or how he spells his last name. I just spelled it like it sounded. He led the Chargers in target share. I think he's their guy. I think that's it. To start him. 5 catches. I know that wasn't anything crazy. 39 yards on 7 targets. He had a touchdown. But they're playing the Panthers. So I think that's going to be a thing we're going to do this season is just fire up anybody that's playing the Panthers because they are. It's horrible. I'm benching all the Green Bay receivers. Malik Willis stinks. Can't throw the ball. Don't try to be cute and say, "Oh, he's something." Yeah, that guy stinks. I know it's my team.
Upset of the week, though.
What?
How are they going to score? Upset of the week. You have them winning.
Josh Jacobs.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. That's what he thinks. I
mean, they're probably not. The only reason I think that is because every other upset I saw, like going by all the dogs, I'm like, nope, no chance. Maybe the Giants. I guess I should have picked the Giants.
Rams are underdog. Come on.
Aren't they?
1.5 points. It's like a pick 'em.
I don't want to go circle too far back. Somehow the Rams line, I don't even know who's playing this week. Dude that played left tackle, I felt bad for that kid. He had no business being out there against Aiden Hutchinson. The fact that Matt Stafford was able to keep in the game is wild. And kudos to him and Sean McVay for being able to even put up points when your offensive line is 2 starters and some dudes that you literally picked up off the street.
No, they're walking around fast food restaurants looking for any big behind to throw in front.
I felt bad. I felt terrible. Stafford is tougher than hell that he was able to even keep playing.
And his ankle got rolled up on 5 times.
Yeah. I mean, He
doesn't really have ankles at this point, though, does he?
No. But anyways, like I said, the only way the Packers win is Emmanuel Wilson, Josh Jacobs, and the defense. But not Malik Willis. That dude's he's terrible. So, tight ends. I'm starting Dallas Goedert. I know somebody has him later on that they like. He didn't. I don't think he did anything against Packers, but Saquon did it all. Falcons defense is trash. I think fire up Goddard. He's 12th on the season right now. I look for the pass game to be a little more involved for the Eagles. I think everybody's, especially the divas, AJ Brown, and he's the only one. I know he had a big touchdown, but he wants to score 3 touchdowns like Saquon did. So my bench is Dalton. I call him Dutch Schultz for the Texans. TJ Edwards played like Dick Butkus last weekend, and I don't think he's stopping. That guy's awesome. Edwards and Edmonds are probably the best, if not the best, linebacker tandem in the league. I think they'll shut down. Why did I say they shut down Goddard? Because I just talked about him. I'm all confused. They'll shut down Schultz like if Caleb Williams was his quarterback. Because he stinks too.
All right. Very good. And always good to get a good Dick Butkus reference in there.
Yeah, he doesn't have them very often.
Yeah, no, that's I like it. So let's see. We've got Jerry still in here. Andrew's bounce back. Absolutely. We can talk about that a little bit with Isaiah Likely, man. He's gonna be He might line up as a tight end, but he's going to be utilized as a wide receiver in that offense because they just don't have wide receivers. So Andrews will still be the true tight end. So he'll be fine. Don't panic on Andrews.
I did
unless
see,
you guys disagree.
No, the only thing I will say, I think they're both viable. I saw some stats about those FFPC drafts, those like real high stakes drafts. I think they're based out of Vegas. They're pretty expensive. That there were some drafts where Isaiah Likely went like the 210, the 304, the 306. Like people were drafting him like he's the guy. But I don't think that Andrews is just gonna like go by the wayside by any means.
Yeah.
I think they'll both be
relevant.
involved. I was saying before the season, I just feel like Likely's too talented not to get involved in the offense. So, I mean, you're going to see games like that. But, I mean, as long as Andrews is healthy, he's still going to be involved. And in that game, they were all over him, double bracket coverage the entire game.
It's just like they have the last 5 times they played each other. Like Andrews doesn't do anything against the Chiefs because of the way that they play against the Ravens. So they bracket him the entire game. So it is what it is. But Watson could be benched by week 6. Jerry, I hope that's true. And I also hope that when they bench him, they put a nice massage table out there for him to lay on while he's watching the game.
I don't know how they redid his contract. What's his cap hit next year? Like $72 million? Like, they are effed. Like,
what happened to their offensive line though?
2 guys.
Didn't they used to have a pretty solid offensive line.
They had to pay Watson.
No, both tackles were hurt.
Yeah, but they couldn't go out and get somebody. Let's see. The
backups in.
Jerry knows what he's talking about. Double digits. I like it.
Probably.
I think they're going to dog walk the Packers. I'm looking forward to it. # never Malik Willis. That's a little salt to the wound there. You guys just picked him up like a month ago, right?
20 days.
20. Oh, man. I was kind of being sarcastic. I knew it was recently, but
20 days.
His feet are just okay. Just extensions of his shins. Like it. Let's see. Half size smaller. Yeah. Gotcha. I see what you're saying. All right. Let's see. Mark, you're start him and sit him.
All right. I want to bring this segment back. I mean, because Justin wanted to cheat with all the super studs who had a bad week 1. Nate just said, F Justin's rules. I'm doing my own thing.
I didn't see that part. Full disclosure, I missed that part when I was filling things in. Sorry.
So I'm going to bring it back here. So for my quarterbacks, I'm starting Brock Purdy after an abysmal 10 points in week 1. In a game they dominated. I think Purdy is going to bounce back, especially with CMC potentially missing a second game. I know Mason looked good, but they're going against Minnesota's defense, and Minnesota allowed 180 yards passing to Daniel Jones. I feel like every pass yard Daniel Jones throws for, you can account a normal quarterback to throw for about 50. So Purdy's on pace to throw for 1,000 yards or something like that. But
checks out.
But no, Purdy's 25th on the season right now, so I think he bounces back. He'll be up there this week. Benching, I want to cheat like Justin. I'm going to bench Jordan Love because he was the 9th ranked quarterback overall. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. I can't do that. My quarterback I'm going to bench is Geno Smith. They're going against the Patriots, which would seem like a good matchup, but I feel like they're going to see a lot of Seattle's rushing attack. Unless Walker doesn't play, then maybe things change. But if Walker's in there, I really think that Geno has a subpar day. And plus, the other guys that are in the top 12, I really don't like benching any of them. So Geno was my guy I'm going with there.
Hey, Rich, pay attention. Rich, listen up. Here we go.
What's that?
Go ahead.
Oh,
okay. Go ahead.
Running backs, I'm going with Derrick Henry. You don't bring a guy in. You don't bring a guy into town like Derrick Henry and give him 13 carries. So I think Baltimore will rectify that this week and pound the rock against the Raiders. I expect a top 12 finish this week. Henry was 22 after week 1. Benching. This one is kind of cheating, but I'm going with Jamal Williams. They're not playing the Panthers this week, and he's probably not going to get anywhere close to 11 carries. So he was 26th on the season. I expect him to fall way down after this week. Wide receivers, I'm going to start Chris Olave. Broken record here, but again, they're not playing the Panthers this week, and they're not going to be up 1,000 points. So they will need to throw the ball against Dallas, and it'll be more than just the occasional home run ball to Shaheed. Dude's just too talented not to get the ball to. He's 84 on the season right now. Expect a huge jump up after this week. I'm benching Ashton Doolin. My bench was going to be Alec Pierce, but if I'm going to bench Alec Pierce based on his 3 catches on 3 targets, then I'm definitely benching Doolin on his 1 catch on 1 target that just happened to be a 50-yard touchdown. So he's 23 on the season right now. Expect that to fall significantly.
See, now you're getting it.
Right? Yeah. Tight ends, I'm going to start Evan Ingram. He put an absolute stinker up in week 1, had 1 catch for 5 yards. But, folks, he's going to be fine. Weird things happen in week 1, and they sure did in this game. One of the positives to take away why I think Ingram's going to be fine is he did tie for the lead in targets on the team with 4. Ingram right now is 44 on the season. I'm benching Foster Moreau. Say it with me again. They're not playing the Panthers every week. He's touchdown or bust, as a lot of the tight ends are, but his problem is he's also got to split reps with Juwan Johnson. Moreau's 2nd overall on the season right now. I don't see that lasting.
Right on. Okay, so the next segment, keep them or quit them. This is going to be a fun episode as we get a little deeper too, and the list will get way shorter. We're not going over all these guys. We just don't have that much time because week 1 did what week 1 does. But there are a lot of guys out there that we expected to perform better than they actually did. And so the idea here is, as I start to notice trends with players, which week 1 is not a trend, just like Rich said at the top of the show, don't freak out, guys. This is just week 1, but it's still a good sample here. So there's a list of players here that didn't perform as well in week 1 as what we had anticipated. And so I threw the list down there. I'm going to let you guys take a look at that list, and you just tell me if there's anybody on the list that you want to talk about, on whether or not you're going to keep them and hold on to them, wait and see what happens. You expect bigger things, or if you're kind of already thinking, I need to trade them right now. There's even a couple in there that maybe overperformed as well, where I might think that you might look at it as, maybe I can trade them right now and trade them high because I think that they're going to lose out later on. So there's also those in there. So you guys go ahead and take it away. Mark, I'll let you talk first. Is there a guy on the list you want to talk about?
I'm not going to go through like the big guys that I'm not panicking on, because I don't know. I'm going to talk about some of the guys that I either didn't like to begin with, or I'm kind of over it now. Mike Williams, I was never. Dude just can't stay healthy. He's not ready for the season and begin the season. I don't want any part of him right now. Wicks, especially with the Love injury. I mean, it was already a crowded room there. Now with Willis as the quarterback, one I'm very scared on is DeAndre Hopkins. Like, he was non-existent in week 1, which was, I mean, I know he's getting older, but still, I expected him to be involved in that offense, and not at all. Who else on here? Chase Brown, obviously, I'm good with.
Oh, yeah. I will say on the Packers receivers, I'm just kind of staying put with them. I know it's hard to tell for 1 week who's the guy or whatever, but if anything, I mean, you may be able to swoop them up on the waiver wire if guys are dropping them. I'm not saying right now, but maybe in a week or two. I mean, they didn't put Love on the IR, so you know the way that sounds like 3 weeks.
Right.
You know, so if you got a spot you can stow away a guy, you know.
I'm not out on all the Packer receivers. I
agree. Like I said, with
I
Wicks,
wasn't in on Wicks to begin with, so
yeah.
The other thing, like you were talking about, Justin, I don't see him on here, but Isaiah Likely, like after that first week, like I think he's going to be valuable. But if you got somebody who's willing to pay like a wide receiver 2 or above for him right now after that week 1 performance, I would trade him. I would maximize that value as soon as you could.
Bears receivers, I got to figure out if Caleb Williams is more accurate or not. He's had some very poor passes. I'm not just saying that. He really was not good.
Yeah.
Same, and the Titans receivers, I think Will Levis stinks. I thought Justin had me all fired up this year. He was going to do better.
Yeah.
He's not good.
I'm gonna give him 2 more games because the next game is also a tough matchup. And then if he doesn't come back in that 3rd week and actually start showing me something, then I'll give up on him as well. But
that game was brutal. To lose a game when your opponent doesn't score an offensive touchdown
and you were up 17-0.
Yeah. Absurd.
I don't remember what the record was against the spread. Like 1-66 when you're up 17-0. It's now 2-66. Thanks, Tennessee. I've been 4 for 4 on the weekend.
Rich, I'm going to take your side on this one. Henry will have the bulk of the TDs this year, but Hill will have more yards on the season. I actually agree with that. If you say if you're talking total yards, especially, let's just say rushing and receiving yards combined, I absolutely agree with that. I think that Hill, he just looked more explosive. He looked like he wasn't 147 years old like Henry. So I think that I don't think that they're going to pay him all that money and come in and get all those carries. I think that was their intent, but now they're getting old Derrick Henry. So I'm going to take Rich's side on this. Anybody want to go against us?
No, Justice Hill.
All-purpose yards. Yeah, no, I'll go Henry. Like I said, they brought him in for a reason, and Henry's like that nice car that you have, but you have to warm it up for a little bit before you go out. You know, you got to give him some carries.
Yeah.
I thought Tajay Spears looked he looked like he had some good zip. You know what I mean? Like he was like ready to rock. DeAndre Swift, I'm out. I don't have any shares. Their offensive line is not good. And they are going to struggle to run the ball down the stretch. So I'm out. I didn't know what their plan was anyways, but I said they don't really.
Hey, Mark, I have one I want to ask you in particular, Mark. So we all know that the best ability is availability. Are you out on T. Higgins yet?
No, I am not out on T. Higgins.
I'm out.
As you can see, they lost to the Patriots without T. Higgins in the game. So
because he was going to be the reason they won.
Yeah, that was the difference.
Maybe if they could have put him like on the offensive line or something. Could have just been a speed boat.
Yeah, no, that he helped the team by sitting out. All right, Zamir White. That one, I really want to hear your guys' input on that one because I've been so down on him even all offseason. And on the Sunday morning start-sit show, everybody else was going White with a lot of the different picks just because he has the bulk of the carries. And same with Singletary. And I tried to say it then, like, having the bulk of the carries doesn't mean anything if you're not good at football. So, like, I tried to explain it then, and now I feel vindicated. But it was also just 1 week, just like Rich said. We can't really jump the ship after 1 week. But since I already felt that way going into week 1, I kind of feel vindicated. But I need to know, am I overthinking this? Is Zamir White going to have a bounce back here?
I think so. Let me ask you. So, what's the reasoning for how well he looked at the end of last season?
So, all right, I did explain that on Sunday morning too, but let me look him up again real quick, just because I don't remember the teams exactly. But let me see.
But I mean, again, if we're going back to if you're not a good football player, like
All right, no, here it is.
Stretch, didn't
No, here it is. You're saying he looked good down the stretch, right? He
Correct.
was the RB12, so barely a number one running back.
one.
In week 15 against a Chargers team that had already been put out of the playoffs, already depleted, done, just didn't care. And then he was RB16, so RB2, like
Top tier RB2, yeah.
well, the fourth RB2, so I wouldn't say top tier, but anyway, that was against the Chiefs that already had their playoff seed locked in, and then the Colts in week 17 he was RB16 again, and oh wait, no, the Kansas City didn't have their playoff seed locked in, but they
I was
already
gonna
had
say,
the
weren't they
division locked
fighting
in.
for the one seed?
Yeah,
right?
they already had the division locked in. So
Yeah.
but still also, not playing Kelsey and not playing a lot of the guys for very long into the games and saving players. Realistically, it just didn't matter. And then the Colts, who traditionally have always been bad against the run, he was the RB16. But in any of those games, like his best scoring game was 17.5 points. So, and then week 18 against the Broncos, who were completely out of it, he was the RB20. So a lower end RB2. And that was really good for Zamir White with all of those different things popping up. And they didn't have another running back there. They didn't have any other options.
The other side of that coin, though, is yes, his highest points were 17, but he did all of that with only one touchdown in that span of 4 weeks.
Because he sucks.
He had 145 yards the one week, 112 the other. Like, I don't know. I don't think shitty running backs do that. Like, put up those kind of yards.
And also he did that on 22 carries, 25 carries, 20 carries, 17 carries. So he was getting all of the carries because there was nobody else there. They didn't have any other running backs. Now they do. So they're going to be cutting into it because he's not the workhorse type of running back. He spent an entire career so far as a backup.
Got last week?
He spent an entire career so far as a backup.
Just like Madison. He thinks too.
Madison did not get very many carries, but he's the third down back, and those points are more valuable than your rushing down. But Madison had 4 receptions for 43 yards and a touchdown. Zamir White's not doing that in the passing game. He did have 5 carries that he took away from Zamir White.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's enough Raider talk. Let's move on.
At least we probably got Rich going, but yeah. So White had 13 carries to Madison's 5.
Yeah.
That was 5 carries that Zamir was getting during that stretch, and he had 2 catches for 2 yards. So he's not doing anything in the passing game. But anyway, I had to jump in. I know that I designed that to be your guys' segment, but when I got to Zamir, I just got kind of burnt up about it on Sunday morning. The hot waiver ads, what we're looking for here, we're just going to select one must-add waiver pick that's rostered in 60% of leagues or less. For those of you that are Patreons, patreon.com/toilets-and-titles, you know that if you are at that $4.99 level or higher, you get all of our waiver ads in a PDF format, and then also in a video format. You guys will get the video format tonight with the gorgeous Nate giving that to you. But we're going to select one guy in particular just for this show. And of course, mine, I led into it very gracefully here, was Alexander Madison. So this is a guy that when we're doing the pickups, this is going to be a player that we want to pick up now to keep for the rest of the season. A little bit different than the next segment. But for this one, we're picking up a guy now that we want to keep for the rest of the season. And with Madison, as I stated earlier, I feel as the season goes on, he's going to continue to take more carries from Zamir White, and he is still the receiving down back for the team that will have to throw the ball a lot. With the tough matchup this week against the Ravens, this is the time to get him cheap and stash him because he had 62 total yards on 9 touches, and 4 of those were catches, which are very important for running backs, just as I stated, especially in PPR. But going against the Ravens, he's going to have another slow, rough week. So you can get him now, stash him, maybe even get him after next week. But although against the Ravens, they might have to throw the ball a lot more, so he might get so many receiving fantasy points that people are going to want him. Yeah, I would just get him now, man. Just get him now. Just get him now. Be safe. Play it safe. Nate, who is your hot waiver wire ad for this week?
I like Michael Wilson, the Cardinals wide receiver. Like I said, I thought they looked decent. He didn't have the best game week 1, but I think that's okay. Greg Dortch was like their number one receiver, which is weird. But like I said, I think Wilson's a good deep threat, which is always fun for points. And I think that's something, like I said, that the Rams struggle against is the deep ball. So we'll see if it helps out. I think hopefully number like low end wide receiver 2, but probably like wide receiver 3 numbers. But if you can pick him up for cheap, I think he's going to be probably the third target, to be honest, but that's not always bad in an offense that's going to be throwing the ball a lot. So it could be second, depending on the day with Harrison Jr., but we'll see how that goes. Actually, I say the second. McBride is in there as like the 1-ish, 2-ish kind of thing with Harrison. So.
Yeah, right. So. All right, Mark, who do you got?
So I actually threw 2 guys on here that I really like at the wide receiver position to go grab. Alan Lazard, he should be available in a lot of leagues. He's Rodgers' guy. Aaron Rodgers likes his guys, and he's his guy. So, I mean, as long as he's not dropping the ball out there like he did on the very first pass.
He scored a touchdown later.
Yeah, he did. I just think Rodgers is going to find ways to get him the ball. So I think he'll be valuable throughout the season. The other guy I like a lot is Tyler Johnson for the Rams. I really like what I saw out of him in that game against Detroit, especially after the catch. And with the Puka injury, I mean, he's out at least 4 weeks. They're saying it could be more. They're going to be looking for somebody to fill the void alongside Kupp. I know Robinson's there as well, but both him and Robinson both had 7 targets in the game, and Johnson was actually getting looks before Puka got hurt. So I like him a lot in that offense.
Yeah. Yep. No, definitely. The next segment is weekly streams. So now this one is more still rostered in 60% of leagues or less. But this one is more like we're picking them up just for this week or maybe a week or 2, and maybe you stream them a few times throughout the year. But it's not somebody that's very likely to hang on to a roster spot on your roster every week. You're just going to kind of use the waiver wire like it's an extra roster spot and just pick this guy up whenever you feel like you need him. For me, for this week, it's Jared Goff. He is facing what looked to be a pretty bad Tampa Bay secondary this week. And he's at home this week, which is where he obviously does his best work. We know about the home and away splits. We know about the dome and the outdoor splits. So like Jared Goff should play really well this week, and he is rostered in less than 60% of leagues. So that's my stream of the week. Nate, how about you?
Guy we've been talking about quite a bit, Justice Hill. Ravens take on the Raiders this week. I'd like to have to get back on track after last week. Hill's solid RB. I don't even know if I can call him the RB2 last week for the Ravens. I mean, not really rushing the ball, but that's what Henry's there for. But he caught 6 balls for 52 yards and had 11.5 PPR points. He only rostered in like 3.4% of ESPN leagues. Probably can get, well, I say you can get him for free, but probably not after he had a somewhat decent week last week. But I think that, like Mark said, Henry's kind of got to get warmed up. And I think they want to save him for the stretch, for the playoff run. I think Hill still has definitely a viable role in the offense. I don't know if it'll be every week. I really don't, but I feel like this would be a good week for him.
Couple of funny comments here. First, we got Rich saying, "Y'all got me fired up. I can't go to sleep now." That's awesome. That's good to hear. And then at literally pretty much the exact same time, we see this post where Jerry says, "Colby Parkinson, great tight end streamer," and I agree with that. And Rich also put in, "Mark, I like Colby Parkinson with Puka being out." So, and I mean, I agree with that for sure. Like, he's definitely, if you're one of those guys that went out and picked up one of those Packers tight ends thinking that they were going to do something, or a Colts tight end for crying out loud, then this might be the guy to stream for this week and see what happens another week. His tight ends mostly underperformed for the most part this week, but
I mean, with your streaming tight end, you're hoping to get like 50, 60 yards, and you count that as a success.
Yeah. Mark, who do you got for the streamer this week?
So I'm not sure if I got the percentage thing right. I don't know how to do that. I looked on Sleeper. It said Goff was 80%. So I'm obviously doing something wrong. But I went with J.K. Dobbins at running back. I feel like this is my theme of this week. The Panthers. He's facing the Panthers. That's all I've been talking about is who's facing the Panthers. He's coming off a huge game, and he's still healthy. So let's play him now before he gets hurt.
Hell yeah. Fire him up.
So most of our viewers, most of the people that view these are typically going to be more novice viewers. You're not going to have guys that eat, sleep, and breathe fantasy football like we do. So typically I'll go to like a Yahoo league or an ESPN league or something like that, a more novice site to pick up on the roster percentages, just so you know. If you don't
Can you see that on there without being in a league on the site?
I don't know, because I'm still in a lot of those types of home leagues.
There's a link I'll send you, Mark.
I refuse to move over to that sleeper crap. But hey, safe travels to you, Rich. Safe travels to you, buddy. Yeah, he says, "I'm going to have to talk with Bo Nix." Good luck with that. Why is he a new spokesperson for Frito? Is that is that why you're going out to see him? The one and done eliminator games. This is a new segment this year, and it's been pretty fun so far. And I mean, it's not just because I'm kicking your guys' ass in it, but so the way this works is each week we are going to choose one quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver, and one tight end. We cannot choose that player again for the rest of the season. So, for instance, I chose Baker Mayfield as my quarterback week 1. I can't choose him again the rest of the year, which is great because I happen to get him on probably his best game of the year. But last week, that's right. Last week, Baker scored me 37.66. James Cook against Arizona got me 13.3. Tyreek against Jacksonville got me 26. And Pat Freiermuth against Atlanta got me 6.7 for a grand total of 83.6. So I'm in first place because I happen to get pretty solid numbers there from a couple of guys. Now, granted, I can't use Tyreek again. So as long as you guys use him in the right spot, then you're going to be able to make those points up later on. But Nate, how do you feel like you did on yours, because you are currently in second place?
I felt like I did really poor when I saw your score and then mine, but I realized I'm ahead of Mark somehow by 3 points. But hey, my team was very bad. Kyler Murray got me 16 points, which is okay. Chuck Brown, 5 points. I don't know what the hell. Mark and I were so high on that guy, I thought he'd at least get me like 20 points. Cooper Kupp obviously lit it up, 32 points for him. He'll probably have better games, but that was I don't know how many catches he had, but it was a lot. So he scored me a shit ton of points in Frankenstein. And then Cole Kmet, 1.4 points. I'm glad I used that bum now. Hell with the Bears. They're trash.
Yeah. Forget trying to use them later on whenever Caleb Williams actually has some kind of experience under his belt.
Yeah, when he can have a little more accuracy, but whatever. His fingernail polish probably gets stuck on the ball. This week I'm going Mr. Justin Herbert at the Panthers. I thought about just going all Panthers or all Chargers, but I'm going to save some because I did look up the tight end for the Chargers, Will Dissly. He had 1 catch last week. He'll probably blow up this week because I'm not going to start him.
Right.
So Justin Herbert against Panthers. I'm taking Josh Jacobs. He had 84 yards last week against the good run defense. The Colts run defense they're not good, but they probably run the ball is what I'm worried about. But we're going to have to run the ball because yeah, you get it. I'm taking A.J. Brown against the Falcons. Their defense sucks too. And then Mike Gesicki against the Chiefs. I'm hoping to have a little like Isaiah Likely type thing because they're going to be worried about Jamar Chase and whoever else. I know Burrow's not healthy, but Gesicki should have scored a touchdown last week. So maybe he can get in the box this week.
Yeah, they're not going to be bracketing Gesicki like they bracketed Andrews, that's for sure. And I didn't know we were jumping right into giving our week 2 picks, so I'll go ahead and do that next for mine. I got Jared Goff.
I thought you did it.
No, that's all right. It's all good. So Jared Goff was my stream of the week.
And rules.
Yeah, he doesn't like him. He doesn't like him at all. But Jared Goff was my stream of the week, so I may as well use him as my quarterback for this week. Let's see, I've got Jonathan Taylor with the bounce back. Like I said at the top of the show, I think they're going to be able to run at will against the Packers this week. And so I'm pretty happy about that one. Big bounce back week for JT. He will at least get a touchdown. So if Nate didn't follow the show notes and put a trifecta pick, whatever they call parlay touchdown pick for you down there, we can just add Jonathan Taylor. Cooper Kupp, I know he came off of a big week last week. I know they're going to focus on trying to stop him this week against Arizona, but I need to try to use him while Puka's out just for the absolute sheer usage to try to maximize the opportunities when I can. So I may as well use him now. I don't feel like I'm going to get the same amount of points that you got from him this week, Nate, but I'm still going to be pretty happy with his output. And then Dallas Goedert against Atlanta, just because the higher end tight ends this week seem to me like they all have a little bit tougher matchups. This was one of the easier matchups for a guy that's lower on the tight end pool. So that'll get Freiermuth and Goddard out of the way for me. So I'm still saving the better tight ends for later. So Mark, go ahead and recap last week and then tell us who you're going with this week.
So, yeah, I was pissed off at pretty much all of my team outside of Aaron Jones. The funny thing was I was playing – remember I was going to play Chase just in case he didn't play. I had Higgins as the backup. Well, Higgins sat out and Chase played. So –
And there's no way I would have let you take Andre Josevich if they would have both been out.
Yeah. I mean, Chase got 12 points. That's still a big disappointment for him. Stafford – only 16 points in that game. I expected it to be high scoring. The Rams were in the red zone like 15 times and only got a touchdown or so out of it. So there was definitely opportunities there for them. And then didn't I say I had Isaiah Likely and not Mark Andrews in that first week? Wow, that was a waste. Yeah. So, yeah, overall disappointing, but like, I tend to try not to use too many super studs early on, but after seeing you with the lead, I just can't have that. So I am throwing some big guys out there this week. I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson over the Raiders. I think they're just going to have a huge bounce back after losing to the Chiefs last week. So I expect a lot of points there. I mentioned J.K. Dobbins. Play him while he's healthy, and they're going against Carolina, so I think he's a perfect spot there. CeeDee Lamb, he had kind of an underperformance for him week 1. I expect him to bounce back and have a touchdown or two this week. And then for my tight end, I'm going with George Kittle. Looks like Ayuk's still kind of like getting his feet under him after sitting out for so long. And if CMC's out again, I think Kittle will get a majority of the air work. So that's
nice. So you're trying to make that comeback. Jerry, good question. Thank you for bringing up the Frankensteak as well. Yes, all the trades will be put through tonight. We tend to do that after we get off the show because we start usually we start the airing of the show. In the past anyway, we've started the airing of the show before the 9:00 deadline. Now we've moved it back to just after, so we don't really have time to put them through before we actually go live. So after the show's done, every Tuesday nights when we put through the forced trades. That way, y'all can wake up in the morning and put in your waiver claims and be ready for the waiver wire ads. But let's see. What does the Mind Flayer do? Okay, the Mind Flayer. So I'm assuming you're asking because your opponent has that in week 2. So the way that the Mind Flayer works is the Mind Flayer, if they choose to use the card, they will tell your commissioner through DM or text message or something. Like, they don't put it on the main message board. They put the Mind Flayer in secretively. It's one of only 3 monster cards that are played secretively, I believe. And and with the Mind Flayer, like let's say Mark is the commissioner and I tell Mark, hey, I'm using the Mind Flayer on Nate this week because he has Josh Allen and I want to Mind Flayer Josh Allen. So I am possessing Josh Allen initially is what it is. Well, if Nate sees that I have the Mind Flayer, he can make a decision. He can think, is Justin going to use the Mind Flayer against me this week? And if so, do I want to bench 1 or 2 or all of my good players so that he can't Mind Flayer them and take the loss? Or am I just going to try to hope that I guess the right one that he's maybe using the Mind Flayer on and swap them out? Because the deadline for Mind Flayer is on Thursday at like noon. So that still gives Nate time to set his lineup. And if he decides, I think Justin's using Mind Flayer on Josh Allen, so I'm going to bench him and put in another quarterback, well, then I just lost my card for no reason. I used it for no reason because Nate didn't start Josh Allen. But if Nate does start Josh Allen, then I believe the penalty is that I get all of the points for Josh Allen for that week. Yep. Okay. Yep. So Josh Allen scores 42 points that week because in Frank you score a lot of points. Then at the end of the week, Nate, we take away 42 points from his score and we give the 42 points to me, and that helps me win my matchup for that week.
80-point swing. Yeah,
I don't think I missed anything with that. So if you're going up against the guy that has Mind Flayer, you're going up against somebody that has a powerful card. So good luck with that. I think that's about it. Patreon.com/toilets Don't forget the several different tiers there for the different levels of what we do. I mentioned that at the top of the show. We do have the touchdown parlay that I almost forgot about here, where we each give Mark a guaranteed touchdown guy. So Mark, I'm gonna let you have some flexibility on mine. I put Jahmyr Gibbs here thinking I would help with the whole the odds thing. So like if the payout increases enough using Jahmyr Gibbs that it's worth the risk to take the bet, then go for it. The more guaranteed one here is obviously Jonathan Taylor. But if the odds come down so far that it's not like the payout isn't worth it to switch to Jonathan Taylor, then don't worry about it and stick with Jahmyr Gibbs, or even go with the 4-leg parlay and throw Jonathan Taylor in there as well. But
I just want one winner from you guys this week. Just one. Either of you.
I'm hoping
Mine hit. I had Aaron Jones. He scored a touchdown. You thought somehow Justin Fields was going to be able to throw a touchdown pass.
Who, me?
Yeah, you went with Pickens, right? Yeah, you went with Pickens.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Well, I mean, Pickens had some huge gains. Like he had a pretty solid game. Just none of them went into the end zone.
And Nate's was just bad luck with CD. Like the game just got out of hand. They didn't really need to do much. No. But so what are we going with? You're going with who do you want? You decide Pickens, right now.
Pickens don't worry 6 about catches for 85 yards. So I mean, it was there.
Gibbs or Taylor? Don't worry about the odds.
Well, Jonathan Taylor's definitely going to score. So let's go with Taylor.
Okay, so we're going with Taylor. I'm going with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry scoring again.
Yep.
Nate, who you got?
Garrett Wilson.
I like it.
All right, I made the change there for you. So
I was looking earlier. They don't have any of the touchdowns odds up yet.
It's usually like Thursday night.
But I feel like I placed it right after our show last week, or was at the other or no?
No, that was Tuesday night, but kind of like the week one, they're like be so jazzed up. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Right on. Hey, so Nate, for tonight, since you're doing the waiver wire episode, I'll handle the forced trades in your division.
Thank you.
So, because I know you probably got to get up at like 2 a.m. to go to work or something.
No, normal
crazy
time
like
that. Nice. I mean, I've been
working 3 a.m.
I get up at 5. Okay, it's all right.
So Justin already knows this, but I need everybody to say a prayer for me. I have a kickball tournament this Saturday. I need to make sure I survive through that.
Do me a favor and start stretching out now. Get those hamstrings warmed up now.
We had a practice today. I was a little sore afterwards. I'm not gonna lie.
Wait till tomorrow.
That's some serious shit.
Yeah. Tell me second base was a keg at least, please, because what I'm seeing right now is like my 6th graders already are at that stage where kickball's just too boring. So I'm picturing you going and playing kickball with a bunch of little kids.
No, definitely not little kids. And this is, I don't know if you ever seen it, but this is the real big ball that they use for kickball. Not the little ones you used to use in high school. This is a big regulation size kickball.
That's too funny.
All I think is that video or that show with Peyton. Was it Peyton Manning where he's hitting little kids with the football?
Yeah.
That's what I think of when you keep playing kickball.
Yeah. So when's this tournament?
Saturday morning.
It's coming
it's
Saturday.
A double elimination tournament with 8 teams, I think.
Holy.
So this just in. Mark is already questionable for week 2 of the fantasy season. Yep. Here you go.
Sunday morning title time might be rough to make.
Better stretch out those chicken tendies.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense or not. It's still funny. We're still
fucking guys. These guys.
All right. So for Nate, for Mark, I'm Justin. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And Nate, since you missed the intro, I'll play it again as the outro because why not?
Oh yeah.
Injustice, hatred for Chris Matter. Our show is as good as a belly rub. Mark is the best of the belly rub. Mark is the best of the NFC West. Putting down blank with fate with his love for the rest. I'm a whiskey or a beer, we're glad you're here. Welcome to the family, but playing for gibberish and rambling. We have recent news and games of the week. We talk PPR and weekly streams. Start them and sit them, keep them or quit them. Hit the like and sub buttons for the fellas.